Hi everyone, this is chapter 7 History and Imperial Capital Vijayanagar, and in this video we will discuss the topic Vijayanagar, the capital and its environment. So the Vijayanagar Empire, the Vijayanagar city had a very clear physical layout and building styles. And to understand the building style, we will discuss about the water resources of that city and the fortification and roads of the city and the urban planning of that area. So first of all, we'll discuss the water resources. So river Tungabhadra was the main river of that area, and it used to flow from the northeast of Vijayanagar. And Vijayanagar was surrounded by granite hills around the city, and yesterday also we have discussed about that. And a number of streams originated from those hills used to flow down, and they used to meet at Tungabhadra river. There were many embankments made. Embankments means the reservoirs where the excess water excess flood water could be stored, and those all streams used to have excess water, and those were stored in embankments, and those were used for irrigation. That area was an arid area, that Vijayanagar zone, and collecting and reuse of rainwater was also a remarkable feature. One such tank was built in early 15th century, and it is now called Kamlapuram tank. Water from this tank was used for irrigation, as well as the water used to be supplied in royal houses also. One most important canal was Hiriya Canal, which drew water from a dam from Tungabhadra and irrigated the cultivable lands. Next, we will be discussing, I hope you have understood. Next, we'll be discussing fortification and roads. The whole city of Vijayanagar was enclosed by great fortress wall, and there were different layers. There were actually 3 layers of walls. Abdul Razak was an ambassador from Persia. He mentioned in his travel account that there were 7 lines of forts. The agricultural lands and forests were also enclosed by the walls. The outermost wall linked the hills which surrounded the city. The granite hills which we were talking about, those were also under the wall. And next is the instead of mortar or cement, stone blocks were used to make the outer layer of the wall, and those stones were wedge shaped, and the inner portion of the wall was earth packed with rubble. Square and rectangular bastion projected outward. Now those bastions were the elevated area where there is a fort. In the fort wall, along the fort wall only, these are the elevated areas from where the firing during invasion, firing can be done in different directions. As per Abdul Razzaq, between first, second, and third walls, there were cultivable fields, gardens, and houses also. There was a great distance between the first layer of the wall to the city. Present-day archaeologists have also found that there were agricultural fields between walls. These fields were connected with canals for irrigation. Now, the question is, why do you think agricultural tracts were incorporated within the fortified areas? For that, the answer is during that period. Yesterday also we have read about that there in the in I mean along the boundaries of Vijayanagar Empire, there were different powers like the sultans in Bijapur, Golconda, the rajas of Orissa. They used to engage into warfare for the expansion of territories. The main objective of the invention was to starve the defenders until they surrender. To avoid this situation, the rulers of Vijayanagar built large granaries within the fortified area so that they can feed their people during invasion. That is why the rulers adopted more expensive strategy of protecting agricultural fields. The second layer of fortification, that means the second layer of the wall, went round the inner core of urban complex, and the third layer of the wall was surrounded by the royal center. The major buildings of the royal center used to have its own high wall. So here you must have understood that there were three layers of wall. The first wall, the outer wall, outward wall, outermost wall, that was covered the agricultural area, and the second layer of the wall covered the urban complex, and the third layer, that is the inner layer of the wall, that used to surround the royal centers. And in the royal centers there were some important buildings and houses. Those used to have their own walls. The gates of the fort was well guarded. The arch and domes on the gateway showed Islamic architecture, which was brought by the Turkish rulers. The roads of the city was well connected with temples and bazaars. Next, we'll read about the urban core. Archaeologists have collected very little evidence about the house of ordinary people. In some areas, fine Chinese porcelain were found. Archaeologists suggested that these areas might be occupied by rich traders. They also have suggested that those areas were occupied by Muslims, and there were because there were many mosques on those areas. The other houses of the people were thatched through, though well built. Those were arranged according to the occupations of people. Field surveys suggested that in the whole area there were numerous shrines and small temples, which indicates that different community of people and different people of different cult and community used to stay together on those areas. Wells, rainwater tanks, and temple tanks were also found by surveys, which suggest that those were the sources of water for common people. For today, this much. Hope you have understood. Thank you.